After taking home the silver medal at the 2012 Olympic Games in London.
For the gold, there it is!
The United States women's volleyball team is yearning for gold in 2016. Can the reigning world champs punch their ticket to Rio and bring home the gold this time? And welcome live to frigid Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Pinnacle Bank Arena as NBC Sports Network presents the road to Rio. This is the Olympic Volleyball Qualifier as the United States takes on the Dominican Republic, and the winner is in. Hi again, everybody. I'm Paul Sunderland, joined once again by my partner, two-time Olympian Kevin Barnett. And Kevin, the United States may be the reigning world champions, but they came up short in the fall in Japan when they did not finish among the top two to automatically qualify for Rio. Why is their second bite at the apple going to be different?
Well, this is a different kind of tournament. When you go to a world tournament, you don't go in with the theory that you ought to win that tournament. Coming into the zone, the United States has been the dominant team in this zone for a number of seasons. They ought to win this tournament. They have performed well thus far. If they perform to their level tonight, it should be 3-0 and a coronation of the Americans.
The Americans currently ranked #1 in the world, and we'll have for you in a moment the world rankings, and you'll see the Dominican Republic very respectable at #7, and the teams we've highlighted are already in. Brazil is the host. China and Serbia finished 1 and 2 at the World Cup, and Russia has just won the European zone, so they too are in the Olympic Games. So this is a big opportunity for the United States. And for more on tonight's competition, let's send it over to the third member of our broadcast team, Tanith White.
Thanks, Paul. With an Olympic berth on the line, I spoke with U.S. head coach Hodge before this match and asked him how he's been helping his team prepare for the amount of pressure there is at this high-stakes tournament. And he told me it comes down to 3 key points. First, acknowledge that this is a high-stress environment. Second, be aware of how that stress can affect their behavior out on the court, and embrace this pressure as the best rehearsal they could ask for before hopefully taking to that Olympic court in August.
All right, Tana, thank you very much. The United States has been playing expectedly against the likes of Puerto Rico and Canada previously at a very, very high level. And how much does that make the life of Alicia Glass at the setting position a lot easier?
Well, when your hitters are on, it does make your life easier. And I think with Alicia Glass at that setting spot, if you ask the casual volleyball fan, is Alicia Glass an Olympian? I believe they'd say yes, but the actual answer is no. Injured the year leading up to the last Olympic Games, this is her push, her chance to guide an Olympic team. She is the start of the most athletic player at setter that the United States has to offer.
And playing opposite Glass will be Nicole Fawcett. These two women played together at Penn State, and they've continued that kind of dominance for the United States.
Nicole Fawcett hits a heavy ball. She could be the athlete that is the terminal hitter for the Americans. When they must have a side out, the ball could go there. But if nothing else, she brings consistency to the all-around game in a position that is generally reserved for only offense.
Against the United States, and as you heard the lady say, the winner is in. The United States, the reigning world champions, the Dominican Republic currently ranked at #7 in the world. The United States certainly has had the better of this series over the last several years. As we take a look at the starting lineup, and right up top, Gina Mambrou at the right side or opposite position, and Priscilla Rivera are the two big weapons for the Dominican Republic. They are #2 and #3 so far in this tournament in scoring. And for the United States, very, very good balance, but the 2015 USA Player of the Year and a product of Hooper, Nebraska, Jordan Larson will be wearing #10 in dark blue for the United States, and she is certainly one of the best all-around players in the world. She'll be teamed up with Kelsey Robinson on the outside for the Americans.
What a treat for the American players to get an opportunity to play in front of a big home crowd here in Nebraska, to have those 3 Cornhuskers on the team all here. This is, you had to pick a spot that's a hotbed of volleyball action, just volleyball fans. Forget just the university, it is Nebraska. Volleyball is part of the culture.
Well, it's been volleyball central over the last while. The Nebraska Cornhuskers won the national championship in Omaha a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations to them. And this same American women's national team won the World Grand Prix, also in Omaha, back on July 26th. Set to go best 3 out of 5 sets. Two teams know one another very, very well indeed. But again, the United States in major full roster competition since the 2012 Olympic Games, the United States is 6-0 against the Dominican Republic. Natalie Haglin will go back to serve first. Very experienced team from the Dominican Republic. 6 of the players on their roster have over 100 international matches. And Larson quickly to the outside, off speed, and to the floor.
Jordan Larson is the do-everything for the American side. She has every single skill. Good server, excellent passer, a steady presence.
Cory Dixon out of the University of Minnesota moved into the starting lineup here. Has really been impressive over the last couple of months, including back at the recently concluded World Cup. Down the line over the top of the block, the Dominicans looking for a touch. None detected.
Dominicans are going to have to be aggressive in this match, not only from the service line, but also at the net. That is the way that they can destabilize what the United States is doing.
And for a lot of you out there who've been watching international volleyball and have become used to and expect there to be a challenge system with video replay, none in effect here at these qualification championships. Right side again, and finally the Dominican Republic is on the board. Number 14, Priscilla Rivera, at 6 feet tall, played at the London Olympic Games, where you look at this roster, 7 players back from a 5th place finish in London.
You saw the heat that Rivera put on the ball there at the net. Watch her from the service line here. She is the deadliest server the Dominican side has.
Very different styles, very different approaches with respect to this phase of the game. And that ball missed out of bounds by Rivera.
It's a high-risk, high-reward system for the Dominican from the service line. The Americans have tailed that back. They've decided to take less risk at the line. In fact, told Fawcett here to stop jump serving. They took that down and made everyone go to a jump float.
And that ball just out of bounds as well as Fawcett. Let's talk about the difference in approach. And I was speaking with head coach Cory Dixon before first serve. He said, look, Paul, at the end of the World Grand Prix in 2014, we were the worst serving team in the world. By the end of the World Championships, which the United States won, they were the best serving team in the world. And that ball missed out of bounds. Dominican Republic can't make any unforced errors, and they've got to really dial it up and score from the service line against the top team in the world.
Yeah, they're going to have to take some risks. The Americans do not, as Jordan Larson gets quite the reception from the home crowd.
Hooper, Nebraska, again, a town of 830, and won a national championship at the collegiate level for the Cornhuskers back in 2006 as that ball was hit out of bounds. Bayanrez Valdez, 6'5", also played in London, and all the way back in Athens in 2004. Those are the only 2 Olympic Games that the Dominican Republic has qualified for previously. Outside again, ball set way too tight. Chance here for the Americans in transition. And Akinraduo off the right side on the slide.
That's what the Americans need to do. This is what you must do when you play a team you should beat. Convert your first ball opportunities. Put away the first opportunity you have in transition. Never give your opponent any life at all.
An early timeout called by the Dominican Republic, and they need one to stem the tide. The Americans on top. 6-2 here in this opening set. U.S. champions Gracie Gold and Ashley Wagner take to the ice for a chance to be national champions. The Prudential U.S. Figure Skating Championships coming up Saturday, January 23rd, only on NBC. That's Gracie Gold and Ashley Wagner. They will take to the ice once again and try to become national champions. Kind of what you predicted right before first serve, and kind of what we expected with the United States. Again, that world championship that this team won in 2014 was the first ever world gold medal for a United States women's team in 50 years.
A stat that is hard to believe that with all the talent the Americans have, with all the success they've had, the number of women playing the sport of volleyball in the United States, that had not happened before. Perhaps it was just what they needed to have success in an Olympic Games. Get over that mental hurdle.
28-year-old Gina Mambrou will go back to serve after registering that kill. Again, mentioned the #2 score at 28 of 71 from the attacking line, waiting for a pretty good efficiency. Another perfect pass. Faucet out of the back line, and that ball cannot be kept in play by Mambrou out of the right back. Faucet with the kill.
I talked with Jamie Morrison at practice this morning. He said this is something we're going to do. We're going to come out of that big attack, that pipe attack. We're going to do it with Faucet. We're going to do it with maybe a couple of different players. But then we're going to force the block of the Dominican to react to that central attack.
Bick, volleyball shorthand for back row quick combination. Here's Akinraduo. Tough serve and immediately out of bounds. So we have come to the first technical timeout. The United States on top of the Dominican Republic. 8-3 here in Lincoln. Opening set and all the United States so far over the Dominican Republic. This is the Olympic volleyball qualifier. You talked about the United States resume. Silver medal in 1984, silver again in 2008 and 2012, and also a bronze medal all the way back in 1992. The United States women have qualified for every single Olympic volleyball tournament dating all the way back to 1964 when the sport was introduced. And finally a kill off the left side by Braylon Martinez. And there is the head coach, Marcos Quick. He's a Brazilian, but he's been heading up the Dominican Republic program for 9 years. He was an assistant with the Brazilian national team from 2003 to 2007 before taking over for Dominicana. On the slide, the unforced error there as that ball is hit out of bounds by Tory Dixon. Karai, now in his 4th season, was an assistant back in 2012 in London. 3 times an Olympic gold medalist indoors in '84 and '88. And in 1996, the first ever Olympic beach volleyball gold medal with Kent Steffes. Dixon comes right back on the slide off the edge of the block.
Getting back to Dominican Republic and their participation during the Quick era, Quick has been responsible for that team being a little bit ahead of schedule. When he was hired, the focus was on Rio. The London Games was a bonus for that team to actually get into the London Games and then to perform well enough to make the crossover, end up in that tie for 5th, losing in the quarterfinal was a great result for a young team.
Pass right on top of the net. Glass will go up and get that. And Kelsey Robinson, number 23 in blue, another Nebraska Cornhusker going up and cracking off the left side.
And a recent addition to this program. They've had a couple of meaningful recent additions. Robinson at just 23 years old. Kirsten Lowe, who we'll see during the double sub at 22 years old. A couple of youngsters who have integrated themselves well right up to the edge of the Olympics.
Dominican Republic settling in a little bit better, passing the ball. Lisvel Eve Castillo, 6'4" middle blocker, pretty good reception there, and quick attack out of the middle, put to the floor. Candita Arias, 6'4", will go back to serve.
Dominican Republic physically could compete with the United States if they had one more player. Rafinha de la Cruz, world-class hitter, is not here for this team.
Dixon once again with a tap down out of the middle, 6'3", out of Benville, Minnesota, in the University of Minnesota, and her dad, pretty accomplished football player, 11 years in the NFL. Her father, David.
Well, how about Tory Dixon going from head coach Hugh McCutcheon, who took over Minnesota after the 2012 games, now into the national team program. Both coaches having nothing but glowing reviews for that athlete that she's brought to the table.
Quickly outside to Larson, once again shredding the Dominican block.
Jordan Larson with the kill. Her numbers offensively have not been huge during this tournament, but it's everything else she brings. Sometimes offense and the hitting is the least of the things that she's doing for your program. She's passing the ball, she's making off plays, communicating, keeping the team steady, doing all those things that help everyone around her play better.
Out of the back row, and that ball stuffed off the block. One linesman called it out of bounds, and the head referee confirmed exactly that. So give the point and kill to the Dominican Republic off of Larson's outside hand.
Good looking block move, hands straight ahead, nice swing on time, both blockers up together. That's just a good job by the hitter.
Neverka Marte will go back to serve, also a veteran, 5th place finish, as you mentioned, at the London Olympics, and a tremendous 5th place finish, maybe even better at the last World Championships in 2014. Fawcett with a kill off the right side.
Well, watch Fawcett's arm, so quick. I mean, she is a big time player. She's tall, she's strong. You're talking about 6'4", but her arm is quick. She got around the side of that ball as fast as any smaller outside hitter.
Now 29 years of age, plays professionally in Korea when she's not with the United States national team. A ball off the block as well. And kind of an interesting add to that story about playing in Korea or playing in Turkey or playing in Russia for that matter. If the United States would have qualified at the World Cup, these women wouldn't have seen one another for 6 or 7 months. But because they failed to qualify, they got a chance to get back together, 9 days of training, 3 quality matches, and reconnect this time right after the first of the year. That ball served out of bounds, double substitution coming on. Courtney Thompson along with Karsta Lowe out of UCLA wearing number 25. A real staple and a real point of advantage for the United States. Explain the double sub, Kel.
Well, the double sub, you keep your setter in the back row and you bring in a hitter to the front row, so you never put your setter across the front row and go with 1 back row attacker and 2 front row attackers. Here you have 3 across, and Courtney Thompson brings a spark to this. This has been, in this particular tournament and other times, a run for the United States. They'll run 5-6 points off. Already a vet pass.
And one of the best servers on the team. Touch off the block, very good swing that time by 19-year-old, 6'7", Braylon Martinez. And you talked about Kevin. I absolutely agree. If Batena de la Cruz was able to play, she was out since September with shoulder surgery. The Dominican Republic athletically can match the United States.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team when they're at full strength. And I think the development of these young players, Braylon Martinez is chief among them, has really been good for the Dominican. At 16, she was the top youth player out of Dominican, MVP, having success with that group. I think she has a bright future ahead of her. And if I'm the United States, I know the Dominican Republic is a continued threat in this zone.
United States with a big lead here early, 15-9. Good swing off the top of the block that time once again by Arias out of the middle.
I like this ball being fed into the block, into the middle, that far off the net from 8 feet. That was run into the middle. That is one of the more technical plays, one of the more technical sets you can run in the sport. That tells me that this Dominican team is really starting to mature.
Mambro back to serve. Again, the Dominican has really done nothing from the service line, and that was going to be one of the keys coming in. They needed to score in this phase of the game.
Finally, a good jump serve.
Good pass by Larson. Megan Easy, number 11 in blue, just on the floor now for the United States. Again, who's just been lighting it up. Her numbers are absolutely out of sight so far.
Here's the maddening thing about the double sub. Left-handed. That's a big change of pace. Tough to deal with for Dominican.
The United States led at the opening technical timeout, 8-3, and at the second technical timeout on top 16-10 as Akinraduo will go back to serve once again. Technical timeouts taken in international volleyball. Get used to it for the upcoming Rio Olympic Games when a team reaches 8 and another when a team reaches 16. And each team also has 2 dedicated team timeouts. Chopped down the line, dug nicely by Thompson, but missed out of bounds by Tory Dixon.
Tough for the middle blocker. That ball getting to the net quickly in a weird spot. I think that's just experience for Dixon reacting to those quick plays.
There's Martinez once again. Beautifully handled that time by Bamwell. Megan Easy stuffed on the outside by Rivera. And maybe that will get the Dominican Republic going a little bit. Now back within 4.
Coach Cory has said Megan Easy has been the best offensive outside hitter they've had in the gym throughout this training block. She didn't get it there, but her numbers have been exceptionally good. on the offensive side of the ball. The question has been with her passing. But Dominican not serving her either time.
That ball tucked down inside by Karstalo. She was the MVP of the Grand Prix. The finals held in Omaha, Nebraska. The finals were on July 26th. And in this tournament, Kevin, she's now 20 of 28 with no errors, hitting over 700 in terms of efficiency.
Very tough to have a lefty come in and play at the pace Karstalo does. It's not only the fact that she's a left-handed player, but the speed with which they set her overhead is a deadly combination.
Serve by Glass just drifts over the end line, so point and possession back to the Dominican Republic. Other teams competing in this tournament, Canada and Puerto Rico. The United States beat Canada on the opening night of this round robin, 3-0, and on night 2, Puerto Rico 3-1. The Dominican Republic also came in undefeated over Puerto Rico and Canada by identical 3-1 victory scores.
Watch the Dominican Republic here, see if they go after Glass. Puerto Rico did a good job of targeting her. So far, Dominican Republic has not.
Combination out of the back row, slowed by the United States. Dominican will keep this in play. Off the block and down. Kayla Banworth, number 2 in the off-color jersey, designating the libero. Her technique is just absolutely picture perfect.
She's nailed down a position and held that starting spot for a while in a very competitive spot. The libero used to be, well, what outside hitter can't hit, we'll put him at libero. Now, that is a competitive spot. Natalie Haglin, of course, college star at USC, is in that spot, competing for that spot. Tama Miyashiro has played time there. It is a very competitive group. But Banworth has been so steady.
Unforced error once again by Dixon. Looked like the United States would have a free ball opportunity. They did, but just made a mess out of this.
Yeah, good save there by the Dominican. Bang, bang, ball play. And this is what you want to do in the sport of volleyball. Sometimes you just salvage a play and make your opponent put the ball away. You see the United States do that. When they have off plays, you'll see them be quite conservative and not hit the ball out of bounds to make their opponent play. And that plays into their numbers. Look at the United States has only 10 hitting errors in the entire tournament. Their opponent's 21.
Marte back to serve, and why they're serving Banworth, they being the Dominican Republic, I have no idea. Jordan Larson off the left side.
Well, they're either not listening to the scouting report or Marcos Fick completely glossed over it and did not mention it. You should not be serving the libero.
Well, especially one as good as Kayla Banworth, also a former Nebraska Cornhusker. That ball off the block of the United States. Fawcett and Akinraduo off the block and out of bounds.
That is a huge block out there on the right-hand side. If you're the opposing hitter, you might close your eyes and just take a hard cut. That's what that one looked like.
Both Fawcett and Akinraduo at 6'3" respectively.
See if Rivera can get the serve going here for the Dominican Republic.
And this is that.
That's 3 in a row, and her face each time has been worse and worse. But look on her face, her disappointment, because she knows this is an area her team needs to win. Last time they played, Dominican out-aced the United States 8-7.
But right now, the Dominican Republic 4 service errors, no aces. The United States only a couple of miscues. Fawcett back at the line.
That's a huge part of why the score looks like it does. 20-15, United States.
Mentioned that Fawcett was playing in Korea, had played in Korea very successfully, and has now moved over to play in the Chinese league. I'm sure she got a better offer.
And if you really want to have it be confusing, Nicole Fawcett plays with Julianne Fawcett. Spelled differently, not related, but nearly identical names playing on the same professional team this year.
This is such a deep American team. She's taken over the starting spot at the right side for Karstalo, who, as I mentioned, in July was the MVP of a major international tournament. Larson again off the edge of the block and down, bringing good heat as number 10 in blue.
You touched on it right there, good heat. Jordan Larson has some pop on her outside swings. All the things I mentioned she does. If you're getting 571 out of her as well offensively, your team is in good shape with the two-time and reigning Champions League MVP.
Jordan Larson misses that jump serve. Larson, now 29 years of age, keeps talking about wanting to retire.
She wants to quit.
But keeps getting pay raises. She was one of the highest paid players in the world when she was playing in Russia. Now she's moved over to Turkey and is just established herself again as one of the most wanted players on the face of the earth.
Well, her good friend Reed Pretty told her so when she won her second Champions League and MVP, he said, good for you. You know you can't stop playing for a longer time now, right? You and your husband Luke have to keep doing this.
That ball off the edge of the block by Martinez, but stuffed straight to the floor. And to give you an idea of Jordan Larson's success, we had lunch at her restaurant this afternoon. Akinraduo will go back to the line after this timeout called by the Dominican Republic. They called one early at 6-3, and now with the United States leading 22-17, Dominican Republic will use their second and final timeout.
Make them work. We're getting them out of system a lot when we get it to the right team, so don't feel like you have to get
And while we've got a moment, let's go over to the sideline once again in Tanith White.
Well, Paul, this is a very busy team. This event falls in the middle of the international club season for most of the players with this U.S. team, and having to come back together so quickly with this fast turnaround from overseas has been a real challenge. But when I spoke with U.S. captain Kelsey Robinson, she told me her team got a head start on refocusing by emailing back and forth before this event, basically saying to each other, hey, it's great we can spend the holidays with our families, but when we get back together, it's go time. Paul?
Thank you, Tanith. 9 days of training, twice a day. They did have a little bit of rest time in there. Good soft block. Look at Larson's ball control. And Dixon down the line, dug this time by Brenda Castillo, the top digger in the tournament so far, wearing the bright yellow jersey, signifying the libero for the Dominican Republic. And good swing into the cross court, Kevin.
Just another note on what this tournament means and where it is in the calendar. Normally you are overseas for this long period of time and you stay overseas and go through that grind. It is weird to come back and play with your own team, but Jordan Larson, talking to her, and I've been there, she said it is mentally very nice to be back in the United States with an American crowd, with your teammates. It's mentally refreshing. And these players will probably be better for the second half of their professional leagues for having been here now.
Fawcett out of the back row on the back row quick combination. To give you an idea, Alicia Glass, the setter, plays in Italy. Courtney Thompson plays in Brazil. Tory Dixon plays in Japan. Jordan Larson in Turkey. Megan Easy in Italy. And on down the list. So they would go months and months and months and not see one another. Dug by Castillo.
Perfect pass from Larson.
Well, the level of expertise at the ball control phase for this American team is really something to watch.
High efficiency. They have been extremely efficient in this first set and never really let Dominican Republic dictate anything in any phase of the game, offense, defense.
Alicia Glass, the reigning outstanding setter at the last World Championships, will serve and miss set point number one, but still a very comfortable lead for the Americans. Again, ranked number one in the world, coming off of that World Championship when they defeated China 3-1. That was held in Milan in October of 2014. Dominican Republic ranked number 7. Set point number 2. Down the line and misses it. Way too many unforced errors, way too many serving errors, and the United States took full advantage, Kevin.
Textbook start for the Americans. This is how you want it to be. Play your game, dictate how it goes, an efficient first set performance from the American side. They are 2 sets away from punching their ticket to Rio.
Paul Sunderland with Kevin Barnett. Easily the United States over the Dominican Republic by a score of 25-19 in the opening set, best 3 out of 5. Jordan Larson was superb on the left side.
Absolutely. Jordan Larson is out there along with Kelsey Robinson for passing. They're out there to make sure that the whole thing runs in system, and then you get Jordan Larson, 4 kills hitting 571, Kelsey Robinson 2 kills hitting 1,000. that is a huge bonus.
And for the Dominican Republic, adjustments and changes, obviously, what they've got to make, how they approach that opening set.
Serve the ball better. You have to find a way to serve the ball tough and in. They have to take the Americans out of their rhythm. The Americans are handling the ball exceptionally well.
And if the libero for the United States, as that opening serve is missed by Kelsey Robinson, just off the left of your screen, you saw Caleb Anworth in the bright red jersey for the United States. There she is, number 2 in red. Also a Nebraska Cornhusker. If the Dominican Republic serves her, it's a mistake every time.
Absolutely, and interestingly enough, you talked about the overseas experience of all these players. Caleb Anworth staying at home. Talking with her earlier today, she said the overseas thing, I just don't want to do it. And for liberos, it's already tough to get a spot. So it's easy to opt out at that point too, because you're not getting really good offers. She's played in Azerbaijan, she's played in Austria, other places. Said, I'd rather stay home. And she's getting good reps in the gym. Perhaps the one position at libero that you really don't suffer from a lack of game experience.
The right side into the deep cross court corner. And Nicole Fawcett picking up right where she left off in the opening set, adding to her total.
This is a tough swing. Inside on the right side, not a lot of space for steps, and Fawcett resets her feet and gets on this ball so hard.
Really interesting story about the relationship by head coach Karch Kirai and his libero Caleb Anworth. Get to that in just a moment. Martinez into the cross court away from Dixon. I was doing a college match with Karch Kirai at Ohio State University. Karch got up at 4 in the morning, flew all the way back across the country. Of course, you get a couple hours back, okay. So he could train with Caleb Anworth 2 hours with his staff, basically one-on-one. And that ball served out of bounds. Still inaccuracy from the Dominican.
It's no accident that Karch Kirai has been successful at everything he's done. The dedication, the willingness to make the sacrifice and maintain the focus necessary to have success at whatever you're doing is something Karch has showed in everything that he's done. I love that he came in as an assistant for the first few years, that quad with Hugh McCutcheon, to learn how to do it on his own.
Monbrew slowed on the outside.
Another dig by
Banworth right on target. Ripped by Larson. Beautiful dig by Castillo. And through the block and down. Nice swing by number 14. Priscilla Rivera, the captain for the Dominican Republic.
A little bit of emotion too on that time from the Dominican Republic. This is what they need. A couple of successful plays. Continue to be aggressive. Make the U.S. make plays as they did in that first set. Force the United States to continue that high level.
Here is Martinez. Mid serve working on Larson that time, away from Banworth.
Tough to get away from Banworth. She's everywhere.
Monbrew off the top of the block, and Banworth unable to control that one. So the tournament second leading scorer, number 17 in red for the Dominican, Gina Monbrew, able to put that ball away as Martinez will continue to serve. First lead of the match for the Dominican.
Done by Gina Monbrew, who's, what more could you ask of the 28-year-old? 6 aces coming in, hitting .324, and tied for second on the team in total attempts.
Alicia Glass is stumped by Valdez, and Aris Valdez at 6'5", and now 34 years of age. She's seen it all, and was all over this tip play by Alicia Glass.
Just a nice little tap move too. She had her hands up high, ready to move. That was not a full jump. Recognize it and able to make a quick response. That miss-hit serve was tough.
Over the top of the block by Akinraduo. Yeah, one of the toughest jump serves to pass effectively is the one that's whiffed. That one by Martinez.
Luke Akinraduo getting way up high on that. And Priscilla Rivera coming back, grabbing her pinky. That one going right through the pinky of the outside hitter. Those hurt.
Good dig in the backcourt once again. Here is Robinson off the edges of the block and down.
Something that could factor on that previous rally. Saw Rivera grabbing her hand, going right through the fingertips, coming down on the hitting hand, unfortunately.
We'll keep an eye on that. It looked like a little bit of a micro touch, easy for me to say. It's a little tighter manicure.
Well, she didn't swing hard at the next attempt. See what she does here.
Akinraduo in transition off of Valdez and out of bounds.
Yeah, Rivera has not looked at that hand again. So I'm going to go with it's okay for the moment. The United States right back on top, done it with a combination of offense from Akinraduo.
Mentioned that Jordan Larson, a partner in a nearby downtown bistro. Again, we had a very nice lunch there this afternoon. And after she does retire, building a home in the outskirts of Lincoln, Nebraska, again from nearby Hooper.
Yeah, the home finished out there in Waverly, which is nearby, and then Flatwater Bistro off to a good start. I'd give my money once again.
The ball hit straight out of bounds by Akinraduo. We should point out we did not get comp this afternoon.
Yeah, Jordan. All right. People in the sport of volleyball need to pay for things. I love this arena right now. The fact that it's packed. This is not the norm for United States volleyball. It has been this year. Kudos to the organization. I've seen several terrific events. World League in particular was amazing on the men's side. Both in Chicago, a sellout against Poland, a couple of great events at USC. Both the men and the women have had terrific crowds in Long Beach. And this, the entire lower bowl sold out. The luxury boxes all full. This is an incredible event. Really, kudos to the fans here for coming out in support. And one of the things I notice with Nebraska fans, they're not all ex-players. A lot of them just love volleyball.
Gina Mambrou once again off the edge of the block, tied at 7. Akinraduo, after that unforced error, came right back with a kill and is now 4 of 8. The United States in terms of efficiency, 20 of 43, hitting 326. The Dominican Republic just 13 of 41, hitting 195. Mambrou has had no impact on this match so far from the service line. Dominicans got to have it. Does there, and quickly to a point, Arias on the tap down. But a net violation is going to be called against the Dominican Republic. That'll get us to our first technical timeout of the second set. The United States up 1-0, leading 8-7 here in the second. The United States currently ranked #1 in the world, easily over the Dominican Republic in the opening set, 25-19. Very solid play from Nicole Fawcett along with Jordan Larson. And now, after that net violation was called, the United States coming out of the technical timeout leading by 1. Rivera slicing and dicing very nicely that time away from Robinson.
Slice, dice, and Julianne with that one. That's a beach shot that'll go down, even on the bad side. I like that she paused right there. Had no time for a step, but she composed herself, waited, and then went up and just took a shot at the ball. Two-time Olympian. That kind of experience is what allows you to make those shots.
Toss it over the top, dug by Rivera, and Martinez ripping, and once again dug by Banworth. Kelsey Robinson is stuck straight down by the Dominican. Arias and Martinez combining for the stop.
What a nice recovery by Martinez on the left, out of the swing and straight over. That's a big block, the right hand of Martinez. And I love the discipline of that, just going straight over. Blocking is one of the most difficult skills because it is a simple move in a complex system. There's a lot going on in front of you.
Martinez at 6'7" and Arias at 6'4", blocking in the middle. And that ball served out of bounds.
And that's all the more reason why the ball has to be served in. You want Rivera to serve tough, but you want the ball in when you have that big block up there.
7th service error right now for the Dominican Republic. 0 aces. Here's Robinson.
And uncharacteristically 6 for the Americans already.
Yeah, that's way too many, especially with their serving style.
Yeah, they've come conservative on their serve. So it ought to be in.
Out to Martinez, into the cross court, dug by Larson. Fawcett off the right side and down.
You asked me earlier about the double sub, why you would put the double sub in. The overpass in the middle of this rally is exactly why you would put the double sub in. The ball came up over the top of the net, and standing in front of it was Marte, and she's not big enough, physical enough to take a swing at the ball. It would have been an easy overpass kill, except she had to set it.
United States back on top by 1. The United States now has missed 7 serves, matching the Dominican Republic, but Dominican Republic much more high risk, high reward. The United States with only 1 ace.
They need to dial it back just a bit. Maybe go for some short.
All jump floats from the Americans, but it has not been efficient or successful at all. Dixon with a big kill out of the middle at 6'3". Cory Dixon into the starting lineup, now only 23 years of age. She's got a lot of volleyball left in front of her.
Steady is the word you hear about Tory Dixon. She can play the whole game too. Talking to Hugh McCutcheon about her as a collegiate player, saying she could have been an old school middle when middles back in your day, Paul, were required to step in and pass on a jump serve. Tory Dixon could have done that. She has some all-around great talent.
Good stab by Akinraduo. Talking about middles playing the all-around game. Some miscommunication there. Marte looking to the outside and not able to make the combination with Valdez.
Dominican Republic looking for a call and not having to continue to play offense. Stopping. They thought it was a double contact on the Americans. Until you hear that whistle, you have to keep going.
Monroe into the cross court. The United States taking a lot of balls here. A lot of different players getting involved in the defensive phase. Martinez off the top of the block. Too much heat. You know, Kevin, right before first serve, we talked about the teams that had already qualified for the Olympic Games: Brazil, China, Serbia, and Russia just today over in Europe already qualified. Give us some idea of where you rank those teams and where the United States fits in, obviously pretty well at the #1 team in the world.
I think that the women's side of the game breaks down pretty simply. The United States and Brazil are the A group. They are the 2 best teams in the world, unquestionably. Behind them, there's a group of 3, Russia, China, Serbia. I'm going to put in that second group. They could medal, they could be a factor. Behind them, it's everybody else, and it's a free-for-all. I think those 5 teams are the ones that, should they all qualify, will be fighting for those 3 medals.
The United States finishing second in both 2008 and 2012 to Brazil. And how about the advantage for Brazil playing at home?
Huge.
Yeah, I agree.
Huge for the Brazilian women. And they don't have the pressure of having missed out on the last 2 Olympic finals. They have won the last 2 Olympic finals. So it's a big deal for them to win another, but it's not all the pressure that I think the men feel. Brazilian men have lost the last 2 Olympic finals.
Low on the floor now as part of the double sub, making that nice play defensively. Monroe into the block and out of bounds off of number 25 in blue.
We talked earlier about Carstolo and her rise into this team coming out of college. Her junior year of college 2 years ago, good college player, nothing special. Her senior year, something remarkable, player of the year. Carried that right into the national team, the Grand Prix where she was MVP, her first international major tournament.
Here's Martinez, the United States leading 13-12. Another mistake. Akinraduo. But again, a perfect pass by Vanworth.
This pass by Vanworth, this is some technical stuff. Look at her keeping the platform out there, getting her body out of the way and stretching out of the way to keep the platform solid and set the angle. That is perfect work from the libero spot.
And again, another serving mistake. The Dominican Republic just cannot serve number 2, the libero for the Americans.
Good call from Larson.
Good set to the outside. And Megan Easy right over the top of the block, point for the United States. Beautiful swing on the high set.
Those that remember Megan Hodge at the time, now Easy in the 2012 games, remember her China match. 18 points, an incredible performance. With swings like that coming in that match. She's just returning to form, having gotten married in 1 year, had a child in the next. The staff saying she's doing nothing but going vertically as far as physical conditioning.
Son Easton born in October of 2014. Monroe ripping into the cross court once again, another day.
Nice move from Thompson.
And that ball hit out of bounds. The United States doing it at the defensive end. Technical timeout here in Lincoln. The Americans leading 16-12. Akinraduo, middle blocker for the United States, a world champion, an Olympic silver medalist, and her efficiency numbers since she's been at Stanford have been off the charts.
Oh, absolutely, she is deadly on the backslide and also puts up a huge block. Even better, Feluca, one of the nicest people you will meet, and the culture of this team is spectacular. Something you hear the players talk about is how they care for one another, how they play together and for one another's success.
Rivera slicing once again, showing a very nice wrist away shot. Number 14 in red to put that ball away.
We talked about Jordan Larson wanting to think about some of the next stages of her life. Feluca Akinraduo has tried to do that as well at times, but has come back to this team. She said, I finally just stopped making any plans at all. I'm just going to do this until it's done, and then figure it all out instead of trying to plan forward.
Playing this season professionally in Switzerland after having spent the last several years in Azerbaijan. And you notice the goggles for Feluca Akinraduo. When she was just a young player, she goes back to serve, she'll dispense with him. But she got hit in the face and suffered a detached retina, started wearing the goggles, wore them for a sufficient period of time for the eye to heal. First day back at practice when she didn't wear the goggles, got hit in the face again, detached the retina again, now she's wearing them forever. Good kill out of the middle by Arias, number 8, Candida Arias, 23 years of age, 6'4", again, would like to get very much back to another Olympic Games after having finished 5th in London. Mambrou now back to the line. The United States won the opening set. If you're just joining us, got out to an 8-3 lead, 12-6, really dominated. They won that opening set 25-19. Much more competitive here in the second. The Americans on top 17-14.
These are the two rotations, jump servers. Glass delivering that ball perfectly in the middle off a terrific pass from Megan Easy. This was a tough serve down the line. Pardon me, Courtney Thompson delivering that one, still in there with a double sub. But a nice job by Easy handling that one down the line. The Dominican Republic should be serving Megan Easy.
Ball right on top of the net, a little bit of a joust, kept alive by the libero Castillo. Out to Easy, quickly on the left side once again, dug by Castillo. And chopped down the line. Rivera has got it all. The slice and dice on the wrist away, and then this one cross body down the line.
Well, two-time Olympian getting it done. This was a couple of nice plays in this rally from the libero, Brenda Castillo. We've talked about the excellent play of Kayla Banwarth on one side, Castillo on the other, saved that rally a couple of times. I loved her positioning on that swing by Easy, where she was just inside the block, didn't have to move, and soaked it up. No jump serve that time from Rivera.
Chance out of the back row, Mambrou off the block. Look at Banwarth making it look easy. What else have you got? Good job by Martinez at 6'7", getting on the floor. The United States puts so much pressure on the opponent by just digging ball after ball after ball.
Kelsey Robinson,
The United States is not necessarily going to overwhelm you with a single player. What they're going to do is play system volleyball. They're going to dominate you over time. The longer the rally goes, the more it favors the American side. That's for sure. It reminds me, Paul, of the 2008 men's team that won gold. They did the same thing. They did not have dominant outside hitters offensively, but they stayed in system and never, ever let up on you.
Now with the United States leading 19-15, the Dominican back with two-time Olympian Kevin Barnett and Tanith White. I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks so much for joining us on the road to Rio. This is the Olympic qualification round-robin tournament, including Canada, Puerto Rico, the United States, and the Dominican. United States 2-0, Dominican 2-0. The winner of this match is in the field in Rio de Janeiro.
I think Dominican missed their window in this set. Those last two rotations were strong for them. The United States, who dropped the hammer right now. That's one way to do it. Keep going to Larson, who's having a remarkable offensive night.
Jordan Larson, usually very crafty, a lot of off speed, a lot of off the block. She is just showing no respect for the Dominican block in front of her and just ripping into the cross court.
Her first kill in a little while, but she's been getting a lot of tough opportunities. She hasn't had a clean swing. That's the first clean swing we've seen in a bit.
Biggest lead of the set right now for the United States at 5. Martinez off the top, Robinson with a stab. Mambro ripping, touch off the top of the block, no. Point for the United States.
Yet another managed swing opportunity for the United States that turns into a Dominican error on the other side, something Hodge and before him Hugh McCutcheon preached. Error-free volleyball. Do what you can with the ball, not too much.
Lisvel Eve Castillo, number 3 outside hitter, coming in now to replace Gina Mambro. Again, Mambro, the second leading scorer in the tournament, 28 kills, 6 aces coming in. Pretty error prone so far against the Americans. Martinez again ripped into the cross court, and that off of Larson.
A little bit of frustration for Martinez, even after that kill, an exasperated Martinez, because it's taking several attempts to get a kill here. In the previous attempt she had, Kayla Banwart didn't even move. It looked like someone was hitting a down ball to her from the outside. She positioned herself perfectly, reading the block and the attack coming at her. She didn't even move her foot at all.
If the United States defense has time to set up, it is really hard to put a ball away, especially when a team like the Dominican is out of system as often as they have been. Ball served over the end line, and the lead for the Americans continues to grow now at 22-16 as Dixon will go back to the line. Martinez, really good swing that time off of Fawcett.
We saw the angle from her earlier. This one, the chop off the line and going the other way. This is a player with a bright future. You mentioned Russia earlier. She's almost in that Russian mold, a little bit higher set, big, long player. I think she's going to be a threat in this zone for sure.
Only 19 years of age, has already taken 22 swings, only 7 kills. And another service error. How careless is that?
It's getting ugly.
Wow, that really is getting ugly.
And the worst thing is they've taken away some of the pressure they were trying to apply. They're trying to just put them in, and that's perhaps the worst way to serve, is to go back and think, I just have to put it in. That's no way mentally to go about it.
9 errors, no aces. Terrible serving performance by the Dominican Republic. An area that they really needed to be a strength for them. And Martinez starting to heat it up a little bit off the right side, number 20 in red.
Just start feeding her the ball. Unfortunately for Dominican, she's in the back row now, but I would give her every ball across the front row. She's your best hitter in this match.
United States just 2 points away from taking the 2-0 lead. And the first 4 sets played to 25 points. 5th set, if necessary, will be played to 15. Akinraduo hard off the block that time of Eve Castillo. Eve Castillo was there, but it just doesn't matter to number 16 in blue.
I like how much they've run that backslide during this second set for the Americans. Dominican Republic gave them a little bit more of a threat, but the Americans have responded and stayed to their level.
The United States hitting 339, set point number 1. And that ball to the floor out of the middle by Fersola, able to put that ball away. Marianne Fersola onto the floor as Dominican Republic head coach Marcos Figue starts to make some changes. Set point number 2. Akinraduo will hit the slide. Kelsey Robinson out on the left. Fawcett on the back row quick. There it is out of the back row, and there's set number 2 to the United States, 25-19. More to come on NBCSN. This is the Olympic volleyball qualification. The United States in control over the Dominican. Feluca Akinraduo in the United States up over the Dominican Republic, 2-0. Akinraduo won a silver medal at the London Olympic Games in 2012, but she talked to us about what might have been missing.
Looking back to the London Games, I'd say the main thing that was missing was kind of the culture of our team. So Karch was able to take it and see what do we need as a culture to have, teammates that love and respect one another and at the same time are competitive. And I think that was something we were kind of missing. We were a very talented group in London, but I don't think we were really cohesive. And I think we've really focused on that a lot this quad to, get to know one another on and off the court. And I think that's really translated well to how we play.
It's not just about the volleyball. There's no place in either program, men's or women's, for players that don't value their teammates. Both head coaches have shown a willingness to sacrifice now and get rid of players that would perhaps benefit them on court to make the off-court stuff better, to eventually take the on-court performance even further. And that's been the men's program under John Spera, as well as Karch Karai and the women's program.
And it's working on both sides. John Spera's the United States men's team has already qualified for the Olympic Games, having won the most recent World Cup. United States women, the reigning world champions. Just underway here, third set. Ripped into the cross court once again by Larson.
Both men valuing the cultures of their team above all else. And I think that's important and something that has rubbed off on the teammates when you talk to Jordan Larson and the other players of this team. And Tama Miyashiro, I know, speaking to you, talking about how even as an injured player, her teammates are checking on her, concerned about her. That is a new way of thinking for the teams you and I have played on over the years.
Led by Larson, but Akinraduo unable to follow up. And more a little bit on the culture. Karch has developed the idea of having their 5 Fs. For fast, that refers to the American offense. It's the fastest in the world. We're going to have fun every day. We're going to enjoy each other. We're going to compete ferociously, as he did for all of those years, both indoor and out. We're going to be a family, and we're going to show fortitude. And he didn't think, Karch Karai, when I spoke to him just yesterday, he didn't think that the team in 2008 or 2012 showed the kind of fortitude necessary to be a world or Olympic champion. Check the box for world champion, box still to be checked for Olympic champion.
Oh, this is a team going all the way back to 08 that has played at the top of the world, been in and out of that #1 ranking spot, but had the last 3 Olympics ended at the hands of Brazil, the last 2 finals, but also going back to the Olympics before, ended by Brazil in that Olympic game. So this team has a little bit of work to do. They're going to have to defeat Brazil on their home court in front of their home fans at their home Olympics. That's a tall task, but these women now, this coaching staff here, I think they're on the right track.
Beat Brazil in the semifinals of the World Championships 3-1 before beating China for the gold medal. Larson again off speed and right on top of the net and straight down as Priscilla Rivera missed the play on the dig.
Layeth the hammer down on this play. That's the athleticism of Larson. The ability to pop right back up after putting that ball in play and crush it straight down.
When the Dominican Republic has been in system, they're siding out at a pretty good rate, but they're just not passing the ball well enough, and their serving has been an entirely different story, just awful.
They haven't given themselves enough chances to score. 11 service errors is a ridiculous number.
Well, speaking of numbers, Kayla Banworth, the outstanding libero for the United States, she's passed half the balls that have been served at the United States, and there's another. She should get 10%. That ball flailed out of bounds. Number 14, Rivera, didn't have much choice, looking for a touch, but find a piece of the block she did not.
That one waffled away, and kudos to Kayla Banworth. She's getting serve, but I think she's being aggressive in the way she's receiving serve as well. Her job is to run the defense. If you want to do it in offensive and defensive terms, quarterback, middle linebacker. That's what the libero is, the middle linebacker. She is responsible for running the service reception.
And 80%, 8 out of 10 times that the Dominican has served her, she has passed the ball perfectly. Good rip once again by Braylon Martinez.
Yep, feet of the ball every single time. If I'm Dominican right now, I shift gears. I serve the ball in, and I set number 20 in transition.
This has been the area that should have been a strength for the Dominican Republic, and it's been a real weakness And there's another. 12 service errors, 12 free points to the United States.
With no aces and nearly no pressure on the Americans in the service reception part of the game. It's one thing to have 12 errors and no aces. It's another thing to do absolutely nothing to put your opponent off balance.
And the United States hasn't exactly been strong in that facet either. I mean, that's 8 errors, and for the United States, they make very few.
For the Americans, that's the one weakness I think you can point to so far for Coach Cory and his group. They have played remarkably efficient volleyball outside of the service game.
Alicia Martinez, the setter, back to serve. Working here on Larson. And Fawcett off the top of the block and down and going to the floor. Marianne Fersola. I don't know if she landed awkwardly. Did not see what happened when she came down, but the way that her teammates are tending to her looked like that she might have twisted her ankle when she came down from that block, Kevin. A very, very common injury in the sport of volleyball.
Absolutely, you have middles and outsides moving along the net together here, jumping towards one another. And oh, that's an inversion. That one hurts. Where you go to the inside rather than the outside, that one hurts.
Fersola came off the bench about 2/3 of the way through the second set to try to turn things around for the Dominican Republic. If you're just joining us, Olympic qualification tournament. The United States won the opening set 25-19, second set by exactly the same score, and have really not been challenged so far by the Dominican Republic. Good to see Fersola walking so comfortably off the floor. That looked pretty bad.
Kelsey Robinson back to serve for the USA.
Second injury of the tournament, Relive Martinez also twisted an ankle earlier, so shorthanded. And we've already talked about the absence of Botella de la Cruz, one of the world's very, very best. We have come to the opening technical timeout of the third set here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So far, all the United States. Third set, the United States on top, 8-5. They win this third set, and they are officially in the field of the Rio Olympic Games. Well, the reigning world champions, but finished third at the World Cup this last fall in Japan, behind champion China. Cory Dixon with a stuff block.
Steady performance by number 6, Tory Dixon. A couple of errors early offensively, but defensively she has been there along with, right behind her, Nicole Fawcett. They've put up some really nice block moves, particularly against the Bic.
Third stuff block now for the United States, holding down the efficiency numbers for the Dominican Republic. Right now hitting just 193. And Fawcett again off the top of the block and down.
If you're going to play opposite, you have to be able to make this inside-out move, a ball that comes from off the net towards the net behind you as a right-hander. Watch the inside-out turn she has, and she gets up high on the ball. Her contact point is at a maximum spot each time tonight. Really nice job at opposite.
Timeout called by the Dominican Republic, now trailing 10-5. Mentioned China winning the World Cup. Serbia finished second. The top 2 teams in that competition advanced into the Olympic field. Russia qualified earlier today with their winning of the European equivalent of this tournament. And still to be determined a number of sites. Brazil is in as the host, so Argentina will most likely qualify at their Olympic championship, and then there are 4 teams to be determined later on at tournaments in Japan.
Yeah, there'll be an advancement for Dominican Republic, and also Puerto Rico moving on with their defeat of Canada. They will have another shot at it. There are actually 2 tournaments upcoming. The Asian qualifying tournament will be held concurrently and in combination with another at-large tournament that will have 4 spots available. Then there will be 1 more spot out of that last chance qualifier happening at the same time.
Dixon on the tap down, but unlike the men's tournament, the teams that qualify out of those subsequent competitions I don't think will really impact the tournament, but the Europeans kind of being shut out on the men's side to a degree, I think is really going to weaken the Olympic field on the men's side potentially.
The men's side is definitely deeper from top to bottom than the women's side.
Well, Serbia's already out.
If you take out the European teams, it becomes a much weaker tournament. You mentioned Serbia already out, and now you have Poland and Germany going to play each other, number 1 and number 3 in World Championships. One of those teams will be done as of tomorrow, not qualified for the Olympics, not moving on with another chance.
Yeah, don't like it. That ball hit out of bounds. The Dominican having all kinds of problems now, trailing 13-5.
Dominican will get another shot. They will go to that tournament in Asia, in Japan, in May, but they're going to have to play better than they have played so far in this match.
And another key for the Dominican Republic, they will have one Bethenia de la Cruz back from shoulder surgery, and she will make a world of difference. Yes, and
How much is your ownership stake in that, Paul Sunderland?
I can't divulge that.
Sensitive financial information.
Let's just say they're not doing very well this year. They might be facing relegation again. Robinson coming out of the timeout and served that out of bounds.
Those out there may be wondering about the tournament format for this event here in Nebraska. The reason it's a round robin play, every team once, and that's it. Rankings determined, and the winner moves on to the Olympic Games. That's the United States choice. If you pay the money, if you pay the freight for the tournament, you get to choose the tournament format. Talking to Doug Beal, CEO of USA Volleyball, he was remembering back when one of my teams in 2000 was trying to qualify. We lost to Canada in the round robin, only to come back and beat Canada in the final in a 4-team tournament. Doug said you never want to play a team twice in this smaller tournament, and that was one of the reasons they chose to go with the round robin format.
Good swing off the top of the block. No, that ball ruled out of bounds.
This zone is really missing Cuba. Cuba used to be a powerhouse in this zone. You think about some of the great names that come to mind with the Cuban team, some of the fantastic outside hitters that they used to have.
3 straight Olympic gold medals. Glass dug that ball too tight to the net and pays the price.
Cuba could only manage a 5th in the pre-qualification tournament for this one. You had to finish in the top 4 in order to qualify for this event here, and that was at the end of the international season last year.
Well, the United States came into this tournament a huge favorite. Make no question, and they played like it. Akinraduo is dug. Larson high up into the block, and the Dominican Republic very late recognizing the situation. We'll head to the sideline. Second technical timeout of the 3rd set. Jordan Larson and the United States leading easily 16-7. Back inside Pinnacle Bank Arena, a crowd of 10,213 has seen the United States, currently ranked #1 in the world, absolutely dominate the Dominican Republic. 25-19, 25-19, 16-7, out hitting the Dominican, Kevin, 372 to 157.
Here's the number I'm watching. 333 in transition for the Americans. Dominican Republic 0-2-6.
And the United States has been superb at the defensive end. Double sub on Thompson along with Carstolo. And that ball ripped off of Felipe Akinraduo's noggin and out of bounds.
Not in the eye region, that was more of a headband shot.
Good to know.
Good for her too, getting in the face is no fun. You remember him, even now, 10 years out, I remember getting hit by Mike Lambert in practice. He hit one from the right side, I was in the right back on the opposing side, and it went an upward trajectory with some backspin right into my face.
Backup setter Camille Dominguez, did it leave a mark?
I think I was concussed. Didn't have that back then though.
Combination play, low, nice dig by the Dominican Republic.
And a lift.
A little bit of an awkward set. Castillo was there, but Akinraduo contorting to get that ball to the floor. Number 16 in blue.
We had waffles earlier, but no pancakes here, so a food fight not about to break out. A couple players coming in with the hands, but not quite there.
Big and easy coming back on to attack on the left side for Kelsey Robinson. Banworth from Nebraska, Larson from Nebraska. Kelsey Robinson started her collegiate career at the University of Tennessee and finished it right here in Lincoln.
Braylon Martinez back to serve, 14-yard.
Dominican Republic going to need a miracle here, and maybe it starts from the service line, but that's way too easy. Easily handled.
And you're serving Jordan Larson when she's next to Kayla Banworth. Somebody call Marcos and tell him to work on his serving locations.
Marcos Kvik, the longtime head coach for the Dominican Republic. Costello came out of UCLA, as you mentioned, where she led the nation in kills per set her senior season and immediately made a big impact on the national team. Castillo, good set to the right side. Membro blocked straight down, but off of Megan Easy and out of bounds.
10, looking at 18, stepping back to serve. Cantina Paredes, 4-2.
Not a bad blocking move, just off the hands and out.
Swing blocking, you can see it as plainly. What's the advantage of that particular technique?
It's a much more dynamic move than the old two-step players getting up higher, able to react quicker to what's happening.
That could have been a double contact. Ball dug over the net. Low once again. And off the top of the block and down.
I really like that swing from Costello. You can see her so often go into the angle here. Same pace on the set, in rhythm, and she cranks the line. Beautifully done, high through the hands and deep into the court.
Costello has now taken 34 swings in this tournament. You know how many errors she has? An error is when you're either blocked or hit the ball out of bounds. Bagel, 0. 0 errors on 34 swings.
4 kills on 8 swings tonight, hitting 500. No setter on the floor right now for the Americans. Try it in transition. Watch him here, see what happens.
Larson will step in, all-around player again, on top of the net. And Tory Dixon, a little bit of a reluctant fist on top of the net, trying to get away with it quickly.
Well, she's trying to decide what to do, because is the ball over, is it not? It's right on top of the tape. Difficult play, a little bit of indecision. Well, go fist mode and just give it a little tap down.
The United States doubling up now on the Dominican, 20-10.
The Dominican is just falling apart.
Easy over the top of the block. Beautiful dig by Martinez. Still no setter on the floor, and Megan Easy missed that ball out of bounds. Nothing wrong with the set from Larson. That was pretty good to the outside.
I would like to have seen Dixon go up in the middle. I wanted to see Jordan Larson deliver. She had plenty of time there. That's when you have a little fun with it.
Especially up 20-10, now making it 20-11 off of the attacking error, as Partey will go back to serve.
That second F you read off, fun for this American side, certainly something that Coach Karai is focused on. They play music all through their serve and pass in the morning. They play some fun music. There's dancing going on, a very loose group. And that works for them. Relaxed and efficient is how I would describe the United States in this match.
Dixon rattling the ball through the block. Do you think that the United States fears Brazil?
No. I don't think they fear Brazil. I think they know they have unfinished business with Brazil. And this is largely a new group.
Yeah.
There aren't so many players left over. There are just 5 in this group right now from what played in London. And who knows what the Rio roster will look like.
Good straight down block by Rivera that time, along with Valdez.
I think what will happen when you get to the tournament next year, assuming the United States closes this out, the United States will be the best team in the tournament. Brazil will be the favorite in the tournament because of where they are, because of the history that you mentioned. But I think they are the 2 best teams, unquestionably.
And I think China's going to be a huge factor. Wait till viewers get a load of Xu Ting. Oh, she'll be 21 years of age at the Olympic Games. And may be now the best attacker in the world.
She is. She's the most fluid, best attacker in the international game right now. You might find an all-around better player. It might even be Jordan Larson. But you will not find a better, more fluid, more aggressive attacker at the net.
Larson just keeping that ball smartly in play. And down the line, I've been very impressed with Braylon Martinez. Only 19 years of age, 6'7", pretty fluid arm swing. You add her to Peña de la Cruz when she comes back healthy. Pretty dynamic team.
Best thing about Martinez, besides the arm, is her movement. She has nice feet. She makes some very sophisticated approaches to the ball.
Cory Dixon once again. Very nice jump serve save by Alicia Glass, who a lot of last year did not play in the Grand Prix in July in Omaha, bothered by a very severe ankle injury.
Oh, this is where she benefits. You best athlete at that position. Doing a great job going up and getting the ball and staying out of the net.
The United States 3 points away from booking their ticket to Rio. Good kill out of the middle by Akinraduo Valdez. Again, hoping to be a 3-time Olympian is Valdez. First ever Olympic Games for the Dominican Republic in Athens. They finished 11th. Then in London, where they finished 5th. They will still have one more chance to qualify. Good set to the outside. Flat shot dug again by Banwell. Larson cutting into the cross court. Now just 2 points away.
The defense for the Americans is maddening for the Dominican Republic's hitters. Robinson making a nice overhand stab, and Jordan Larson continues to be efficient in tough situations. She's managed a lot of difficult opportunities tonight.
United States in efficiency, 43 of 96, hitting 354. Dominican only 186. Off the block and just wide that time. Put to the floor by Lisbel Castillo. And she'll go back to serve. 23-16. The United States won the opening set 25-19. Won the second set 25-19. And has really been in complete control. Dominican only led once, and that was briefly at 4-3 in the second set. Good soft shot into the block, restart the point. And another good rip. Number 20 starting to put up some numbers. 13 kills now on 32 swings after a pretty slow start.
Yeah, her numbers have been rising, but it hasn't been enough. You can't have an individual player beat a complete team.
Well, I just question whether or not Dominican Republic believed that they could beat the United States without De La Cruz.
I don't think they did.
I don't think so either, and it showed. Match point and a spot in the Olympic field right here in Lincoln, Nebraska. The United States leading 24-17, and how appropriate. Jordan Larson back to serve, one of 3 Cornhuskers in the starting lineup. Off the block and down. Good swing again by Martinez. Really like this young woman's game. Again, just 19 years of age.
Now showing range and power. The score is going to look better in this third set than it was actually played by Dominican Republic.
Yeah, United States led 20-10 at one point. Match point number 2. For a trip to Rio.
Go slide again.
Good soft block off the left side. Castillo off the block again. Free ball coming. Out to Robinson. The crowd standing. They know what's at stake. Dug by Robinson again. And there it is.
It's never a foregone conclusion that you will be victorious. United States women with a performance worthy of the #1 ranking in this final match.
Well, the United States no longer on the road to Rio. They have, just book it. Go ahead and book it. Well, there was no doubt here in Omaha, in Lincoln, Nebraska, after having won the World Cup in nearby Omaha earlier this past summer. And Coach Cory and his staff, congratulations to them. And now the United States has a perfect record. They have qualified for each and every women's Olympic volleyball tournament, and they will go in certainly as one of the favorites.
USA! USA!
We'll be back with more from Lincoln. We'll talk to some of the players, the coaching staff. The United States wins it and are going to Rio de Janeiro. Cold, snowy night here in Lincoln, Nebraska. The United States was red hot. No surprise there. 25-19, 25-19, 25-18. They are on their way to the Olympic Games, and we are on our way to Tanith White.
Feluca, congratulations. You and your teammates have booked your ticket to Rio. How much does it mean to be able to have this event right here in the United States?
Oh, it's been amazing. The fans in Lincoln have been fantastic. We're usually playing overseas, and we don't have fan support, and it's been amazing playing here.
I spoke with your teammate Jordan Larson before this match, and she said this is a team like none other, and it's capable of doing things which have never been done before. Do you think that can include winning an Olympic gold medal?
Absolutely, and I think this win tonight is getting us one more closer to realizing that dream and that goal. And we have a really special group. Everyone, fights one another, respects one another, and I'm really proud.
You're now officially on the road to Rio, so what's next? How much time do you have to celebrate?
Not much time. A lot of us are jumping on planes. Tomorrow morning I leave and I'm going to Istanbul to join my club team.
Well, congratulations again. Thank you.
Feluca Akinraduo leading a very balanced attack for the United States with 10 kills, Fawcett with 10, Jordan Larson with 9, and Tory Dixon with 8. Big crowd here on hand in Lincoln. We'll step aside, come back to wrap it up. The United States over the Dominican Republic, 3 sets to none, and it was never in doubt. The United States, the reigning world champions, looked every bit of it. They win 3 sets to none.